All right, all right, all right. Let's see. All right, we're in our Secrets of a Colorist book. We're in our Secrets of a Colorist. This is the bonus edition, volume 1 and 2. All right. So today we're going to use this book to help us break down hair color formulas and also have a fire chat about gray hair. Okay. And I told you earlier, small class today, almost like you're getting this special one-on-one, but I am recording it for educational purposes. Um, One thing that we talked about before we get into hair color formulations, and I'm just giving you the mathematical component of it. There's many ways that you can learn how to formulate hair for hair color, to change hair color. I'm going to give you a mathematical breakdown, but also you must have an understanding of the level system and also contributing pigment. Okay, that's always going to help us find the final color recipe that we need for our client. You have to know where the client is going, and you have to know where the client is now. Okay, so we can't do that unless we have conversations. We have to have in-depth conversations about what's going on, what some of their desires about their hair color, what do they like, what do they don't like, what colors do they tend to go towards the most, what do they usually get? I mean, just a slew of questions. So we all know those client consultations are going to be key. Okay. You're also going to be using your eyes. You're going to be analyzing the hair. You're going to be closely listening to the client, but your eyeballs are going to be on that hair. It's going to be on that fiber. You're going to be touching the hair, rubbing it between the fingers. You need to know what it feels like. Okay. We talked about yesterday the cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla. And I just expressed a little bit more about the porosity, about the density, the elasticity of the hair. Also, we talked about the width of the cuticle. Okay. The cuticle could be fine, medium, or coarse. All right. And having more cuticle protection, the hair is going to be able to go a little bit further. Having less cuticle, you're gonna be very skeptical on what you can put on the hair, how the hair will react to hair color, and if you can even use certain hair colors. All right. One moment. All right. And so what we're gonna do, I want you to get familiar with this level system. All right. In the United States, we usually typically in textbooks they give you a universal level system, and so this is typically one of it's an older one, but I found that it's the more detailed for beginners. And if you don't know anything about hair color from the basics, many individuals are visual learners. They can duplicate anything that you show them, but in hair color, you can't really trick. Hold on one moment. Let's look over this really, really quick. Okay, we're back. It's one of your classmates, actually. Okay. Okay, so we have to have an understanding of the level system 1 through 10, and then you also have to be cautious in the back to know that every level has an undertone. So every level has another color that lies underneath it. And when we prepare to do our custom formulations, we must always be aware of what lies in the background. Okay. So it's, even though it's black, you got to be aware that this red violet, this really, really dark red lies in the background. Sometimes black's artificial color can have blue or green bases. You got to, it lies in the background. There's always something lying beneath what you really see with your eyes. And so if I train you on this, honestly, for those individuals that are trained with their eyes before they even touch it, you are more skilled because you have more of an understanding. Only thing you have to do is do. Okay. Only thing you have to do is do. The one thing where most people will lose their confidence in hair color is because they do not understand. Okay. And by not understanding, many may lose patience with the processing, the application. So you have to make sure you have that understanding. And then also there's patience that comes with this. A lot of times you're not going to go from level 1 to level 10 in a matter of 30 minutes. It's just not going to happen. Okay. There's process. So it depends on where you're going and then what we're working with to get where we got to go. All right. So all of those are factors that we use to go where we need, do what we need to do. I'm going to tell you also, it's going to be very important. And I'm going to move to just the screen. It's going to be very important that every formula have a name. Okay, every formula has a name. And so let's do a check to make sure you're on the other side. Can you unmute for me, Indiana? Unmute for me, please.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Just want to make sure you're there. You will need pencil and paper. Okay.
Okay.
And maybe even a calculator. Okay. But I don't think I'm going to give you any complex formulas today, but we are learning. I will be going back and forth between that level system and that contributing pigment um, uh, picture. So I'll be going back and forth with that. That's what I want you to keep in mind. Here's the first slide. We're talking formulas. Always write your formula out. So I'm just giving you some details. It doesn't matter how skilled you become. So it doesn't matter if you've been doing this thing for 20 years. Write it out. Okay. Show your work. I want to see it. Okay. Before the formula begins, you must always know what the natural level you're beginning with, which means you got to know where your client is now. And the client is going to fall between 1 to 10. All right. So you got to know where they are now. That's their natural level. And you got to know where they're going, where they desire to be on the level system 1 through 10. All right. Okay. And so once we find out, we got our client name, then we know what natural level they are, which means we have looked at the level system and we know that the client falls between 1 through 10. All right. Whatever that number is, you'll write that number down. And then also, you have to know where the client wants to go. You may have shown the client pictures, you may have shown the client swatch books when they pick a color. And really, I don't give them the whole book, I only give them about 3 colors. Okay. You give them the whole book, it's going to be forever. They're going to change their minds all the time. So I give them about 3 choices. Once they tell me, hey, I want to be this color, I'm going to say, okay, are we going this color? You can find always, you're going to be able to find dimensions of a color. It's going to be cool, warm, or neutral. So I would have those three colors out. I would say, do you want to be cool, warm, or neutral? Once they choose which one that they like, that their eyes like, I'm going to do the math work to figure out where we're going to go with that. And here's a note, if the client is gray, where most of the time we're going to initially lean towards the neutral. And I'll tell you about the neutral in a moment. We'll lean towards the neutral, but we will complement it with something that doesn't, because neutrals will make your color darker. And so we want to complement it with something that's going to give it a little spice. And so the neutral helps with the coloring of the gray hair. That's the secret component. Okay. But it could make a color darker, one shade darker. So if a client wanted to be a level 6, it's going to make the client hair look like a level 5. Got me? And so you always need to add something to a neutral to give it a little spunk. All right. And so that's going to be called the customized formula. And we'll learn to create those once we get over the basics. It says, in this formula, you will always divide your D, your desired, by 2, and always subtract the N. This will give you your target level TL. And so this is how you're going to write it to show your work. In mathematics, any number sitting next to a letter, you're going to multiply that. Okay. Even if it was in parentheses, also you will multiply that. And so 2 times D minus N equals TL. You must say, Ms. Cox, what does that mean? You're going to multiply the desired minus the natural equals the target level. Guess what the target level is? That's what you go and get out the cabinet to put on the client's hair. And so by doing this small little mathematical problem, it helps you eliminate all the other things around you. Now, I love to teach color non-product based, which means although I may work for a company, work for companies that promote hair color, but I like to teach hair color just strictly theory and give you the opportunity to choose what brand you want to go with, because education without a brand is priceless. Most of the time when you're licensed, you're going to find brands that offer you education, but you have to buy their color. All right. And a lot of times you may not, your clients may never use all of that color. So that's a major investment. And they want to always keep you as their customer. So they're going to give you education based on how their product works. Well, what if they fall off the market tomorrow? That means that your education is limited because you only knew how to use color with their product. On the other hand, I'm over here saving lives by teaching non-brand products and non-brand hair color. And so when you come over here, you have a foundation. And now you can take that foundation anywhere and use any brand because you have a foundation. You know how to use color no matter what product you're doing. You can adapt to any product when you learn hair color without the emphasis of a brand name. Okay? Without no one's trying to sell you anything. We're just learning. Okay? And so I have an example for you. Her name is April. So I need you to write April on your paper. Always give your formulas a name. And if April is a client, her name will be April. You're going to have homework over the weekend, and it's going to be dealing with formulas. One moment, let me blow my nose. You're going to have homework over the weekend, and you're going to have to give every formula a name, a realistic name. Okay. And so before we go over to the next slide, this is the basics. This is the framework. First, we find out what's the client's natural level. Then we find out where they want to go, their desired level. Okay. Then we're going to set it up. You'll always multiply the desired minus the natural, and it'll equal the TL. Okay. And so desired hair color is the D, natural hair color is the N. Is that, you get that? Can we move on?
Yes, I understand.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's move on. All right. Let's look at April. Okay. Okay. April, we're going to write our formula 2D minus N equals TL. D, her desired is 3, her natural is 2. All right. So April is a level 2 dark brown. She wants to go up a little bit. She wants to go to a level 3 medium brown. All right. Level 2, she's at a level 2 and she wants to go up one level to level 3. Okay. You're going to say 2D minus N equals TL. You're going to write your formula. The D is going to represent the 3. So 2 times 3 minus the N is 2. Do the work. 2 times 3 is 6. Bring down your 2 minus the 2. Your TL is 4. So this is saying for April to get the color she wants, you need to go to the cabinet, the dispensary cabinet, and pull out a level 4. Okay. This level 4, you're going to put that on April's hair, and it's going to lift her it's going to lift her to a level 3. One level. Okay. That's easy. Now, let me tell you what developer to mix with it. Okay. So that was just, let's just say that was a sample. Now, let me go over the developers. This is not just color that you'll come out the cabinet, squeeze out a tube and put on. It has to be mixed with a developer. All right. So it says this formula now tells me that I would use a level 4 to give my client April her desired level 3. Okay. Following the principles to choose my developer, I use a 20 volume developer. I write my final form. I will write my final formula as it is listed below every time. So it's going to be blank ounce level 4 plus blank ounces of 20 volume H2O2. Okay. Your average hair color in a tube is going to be 2 ounces. That's an average size head, 2 ounces. Okay. If someone's head is larger than average, you're going to go up maybe another 2 ounces. All right. And so this is how I would write it. 2 ounces L4, level 4, plus 2 ounces of 20 volume H2O2. That means I'm going to mix equal proportions, mix it together, apply it to my client's hair, and it's going to give my client the desired color that she wants. Okay. As a note, always include tonal values, always write and record your formula, no matter how good you get. And so you're going to create client cards, and every time a client comes in, get a hair color, you'll write the formula down. You're going to write how long it processed. You're also going to write the results. Anything that happened in between that caused you to stop the service. Okay. All of those are going to be great things that we write in between there. Okay. So here we are when it comes to our development. Your target level. If your target level is 1 through 10, you'll always use a 20 volume developer. I always write H2O2 because H2O2 means hydrogen peroxide. H2O2 also means developer. So you may hear me say developer, hydrogen peroxide. It all means H2O2. And if you're familiar with the elements, you got two hydrogen, two oxygens. Okay. So technically, when we're talking the hair color language, we will talk H2O2. All right. So if your target level was 1 through 10, if your answer was 1 through 10, you're going to use a 20 volume H2O2. If your answer, your target level was 11, you're going to use a 25 volume H2O2. If the target level was a 12, okay, that formula is going to be high lift blonde plus 30 volume H2O2. Okay, which means the color cannot be found in a regular tube. Okay, the color must now, you must elevate to a high lift blonde. And that's what HLB stands for, high lift blonde. If you get a 13, you are going to use a high lift blonde plus a 40 volume H2O2. If you get a 14, you're going to use a lightener plus 20 volume H2O2. Okay. If you get the number 14, 14 is going to tell you that nothing in a container, nothing in your cabinet that you can pull off the shelf be able to mix together to get you where the client wants to go. You're going to skip all of that and go straight to a lightener. Okay. If you get a number above 14, you need to reevaluate. You're going to have to take precautions. Okay. And you may have to do something called double process, which means you may have to use a lightener and you lift the hair up to one level and rinse, and then you go back, pick up at that level and take it all the way. Okay. A double process in lightener or double process in toning would be necessary. If you get a number larger than 14 and you try to use something in the cabinet that's 1 through 10, you're just wasting color. You're wasting product because obviously the client wants to be higher than what your limits are. Okay, so you're going to have to learn lightener as well. And there are different types of lighteners. Can you please note that you have oil lighteners, you have powder lighteners, you have clay lighteners, and clay can start off as a powder lightener as well. And then you have cream light. Okay. And I don't really use clay lighteners unless I'm doing balayage or something of that nature. Okay. And so there's the different types of lighteners. Just make note. You have oil lightener, powder lightener, and cream lightener. The strongest of those lighteners are going to be powder lightener. It has no common sense. It just knows to pull the pigment out of the hair. Okay, it doesn't deposit anything, it just pulls the pigment out of the hair. Sometimes it can be very harsh, and sometimes it can work very, very slow. It has no conditioners. All right. So it becomes like a roughness. You have to add conditioners or buffers to that lightener. Then there are cream lighteners, still give you the lightening consistency, but there's conditioners that's added to it. You have paste lighteners as well. That's a little thicker than creams. They also have an aggression, but they have a steady tone that conditions the hair a little bit as it processes. And then, of course, you have oil lighteners. I like to use oil lighteners for corrective color. Oil lighteners It has a lot of oil. It is oil based, so it has a lot of nourishment for the hair. Oil lighteners would not get you more than one level, one and a half levels. That's oil lighteners. Oil lighteners are just there to help break the base, especially if you have artificial color like pink and greens and reds and things like that. I may use an oil lightener with some shampoo just to break up those artificial colors because those colors could be hard to remove. So I may use the oil lightener with shampoo and put it on the hair just to break up all of that color. And then I will go in with my color formula to remove all of that artificial pigment before we begin our color service. And so this chart goes along with you never leave home without it if you're doing hair color because it tells you once you get your formula, once you get your target level, you bring that number back over here, and that number tells you what the developer to choose. Okay. So if April formula told us to get a target level 4, what developer will we choose?
20.
Mm-hmm. A 20 volume developer. You're absolutely right. A 20 volume developer. All right. Let's go. Let's go here. So she is a 2, dark brown. She wants to be a medium brown. All right. They are one level apart. Okay. So our formula told us to go get a level 4 light brown, use it with a 20 volume, and it is going to raise our client up one level. And it's going to give her the desired look of a medium brown. Okay. All right. Here's the second notion with the undertones. She is staying in the red family. Okay. So she's already at a red violet. She wants to be at a red undertone. This is 3. And red orange is 4. So she's still in the warm family. That's where she wants to be. And so it's not like she's trying to cross over into the blondes. So this is going to be an easy color. Anytime they're trying to stay in the area where they already at, it's going to be easy breezy. It's when they want to go across the street, okay, that you're going to have to make sure you do some corrective color. All right. So that was easy. We had April. We got her formula. We'll write that as, average color is 2 ounces. So let's just say 2 ounces. It would be 2 ounces L4 plus 2 ounces of 20 volume H2O2. Okay. When we talk about developers, I want to get rid of this myth. You will hear people who would teach you, and when you hear it, you need to be saying, Miss Cox told me about that. Okay, Miss Cox told me about that. You will hear people that will say 20 volume means 20 minutes process. 30 volume means 30 minutes process. 40 volume means 40 minutes process. Okay. 50 volume, 50 minutes, 60 volume, 60 minutes. Let me come to tell you that is not true. That is not true. Okay. The 20 volume represents the volume of developer, I must say, represents the aggressiveness of the hair color. Okay. You cannot put a timer on the developer. I can take a client with a 10 volume And as long as that hair is still oxidizing, I can show you with an experiment. Long as it's still oxidizing, it is still working. When they say 20 minutes for 20 volume, they're saying that it stops working at 20 minutes. That is not so. So I have to always crush those myths, or you're going to be growing into becoming a colorist with the wrong information on one end. Okay. When the hair stops oxidizing, and since everyone can be different, many developers from experiment to experiment, I can have a 10 volume developer and I can still see the hair oxidize after 10 minutes. So that busts that myth wide open. Okay. The level of the developers uh, talks about the aggressiveness of the hair color, how fast, okay, and how slow, okay. So you may have um, a walk in the park. I used to walk over to my friend's house, um, and everybody know where the house is. Let's just say we're at the Hickory Ridge Mall. From wherever you are, you got to get to the Hickory Ridge Mall. If you walk, you're still going to get there, but you're going to get there slowly, and it's going to take you more time than getting there with a car. Okay. Even if you had a bike, it'll take you more time getting there because you're walking. Okay. That's the lower volume. That's your 10 volume. That's your 5 volume. You're going to get there. Your 20 volume, you're going to get there. Okay. That's your 20. That's standard. You're going to get there. It may take you a minute to get there. Then you may say, okay, I'm gonna get on my bike. Get on my bike. Boom. Guess what? You get on the bike, you're gonna get that fast. That's your 30. I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna get there. And you may even say, I'm gonna get in my car. I'm gonna get there. Okay. And you get in your car. This your 30 and 45. You get in your car. You're gonna get there way faster. You're gonna get there way faster than if you were walking and if you were riding a bike. And you may say, you know what, I don't have time to get in my car. I am just going to get in a plane. I'm going to get in a plane. And that plane is going to get you there zoom, so fast. You're not even going to see yourself coming. Zoom. It's just going, you're going to be there. Boom. Okay. Here's the thing with developers, guys. Based on whether you want to walk to get there or whether you're going to get in a plane or a car to get there, okay? The higher the number makes it more aggressive. So that cuticle cortex and medulla that we talked about. So if you're walking with your 20 volume and getting there, guess what? When you get there, everything is going to be intact. We're not going to have any problems with your color. But when you decide to get in a car and you're balling, you know how they do on the expressway? And you just zoom, zoom in your 30 and your 40 volume, guess what? You're going to get there faster, but it's all your stuff going to be intact. Okay. What's the point of getting there if you're tearing their hair up in the middle of getting there? Okay. And so these are the decisions you have to make. Okay, we're going to get there. But if I do choose to go a higher volume, many people think, oh, I'm going to go a higher volume and I'm going to get there quicker. You may get there quicker, but will you have any hair when you get there? Will all the hair be broke off or damaged by the time you get there? Okay. Because with stronger developers, it is made for stronger product. And so sometimes the product can be very aggressive on the hair strand as you're getting to where you want to go. This is why Olaplex was so important and it's been a success because Olaplex says, hey, when you use lighteners and you're trying to get the person from point A to B to C and D, add us to the lighter. Add Olaplex to the lightning because as you zoom, as you get there, we can repair. See, it's a product that was built to already know it's going to be some damaging somewhere. Somewhere is going to be some compromise. So add us, and we're going to continue to build as you go. We'll continue to build as you go so we can, at least when we get there, have some hair on our head. Okay. So it's not about adding a developer, getting there fast, but when you get there fast, will you have any hair with good integrity? This is why some people say, I don't like color because when I colored my hair, when I got my hair colored, my hair fell out. Well, it didn't probably fall out because of the color. It fell out because it was improperly used. Somebody didn't understand. Excuse me. Somebody didn't understand something and they used something that was too harsh or too strong to get you there. But when you got there, you experienced the hair integrity being in jeopardy, which means remember that the pigment is in the cortex area. Also, you have your elasticity and your moisture, your porosity. All right. So if you have a very strong lightener, you're upping the developer and you put it on the hair. Remember, lightener only has one job. It just knows to remove, and it'll remove whatever's in its way. So it's going to remove the pigment, but when it also removes the pigment, it is going to strip the moisture. It is also going to strip the strength of the hair. This is where we get dry and breaking, brittle, split hair from after a lightener, a bleach service, because the lightener went in and just ramshacked that hair follicle, that not hair follicle, that hair cuticle, and also that cortex. It did what it was supposed to do. It removed what it was supposed to remove. But in the midst of it removing and doing that one thing it only knows how to do, it took everything else. Okay, and you to destroy. Okay, so you have to cut things off. That's why when it's time to talk about lighteners, it's not as easy as mix this, mix that, and boom, put it on. You got to understand that you're about to change the whole integrity of that hair fiber. And it's good to use the lighteners. I love lighteners, okay? But I use them responsibly. And also know the theory background, but you can use a cream lightener to get me where I want to go. Why would I choose a cream lightener? Because it has more conditioners, especially if I have a client that's prone sometimes to use, I'm going to use filler to use a product that has condition, okay, that is going to, as I lift and remove the color, I'm gonna have great massage. Okay, the color is going to be removed, but it's going to leave some conditioning in the hair. Okay, and it's not going to do it at a harsh rate. It's going to do it at just a consistent removal rate. And that's where the patience comes in with hair color, because if you think every client is in and out in 30 minutes, it's not. And when it comes to lighteners, this is why I like to charge by the hour. There's a base rate, and then there's a charge by the hour. Okay. And sometimes your clients could leave out before you even style their hair with four of them. Okay. sometimes before you even move into the style, because we are charging on the skill set, the product, and the labor. And a lot of times, what clients want is not 30 minutes, it may be a couple of hours. And think of how much money that you are losing from servicing your other clients during this time. So, yeah, when it comes to hair color, you guys are going to be amazing. And you also have to price amazing as well. Once you know your stuff, it is just going to get bigger, greater, it's going to get grander, and you're going to keep bringing in knowledge that's going to make your value go up, which means you're going to start charging what you're worth. Okay. Never bring it down. And hair color never goes on sale, guys. As long as the hair is continuously growing, haircuts and hair color don't go on sale. Okay. You may do something to get them in, but you have to keep them as well. And you still have to color and hair color and hair cutting on promo. All right. Just do great work. Now, I see Tara and Paul just walk through an example. The client name was April. Her level came down to 4. And okay, we're always going to show our work. And then we talked about, okay, we talked about mm, replacing where the client is versus where the client wants to go. Where the client is versus where the client wants to go. And so we showed our work. You'll always write your formula like this. D2 or 2D minus N equal a letter multiplication, or you have two numbers in a parenthesis multiplication. So the client name is April. D is for desired. That's where the client is now. N is where they want to be. Well, N is where they are now, and then D is where they want to go. So D equals 3, N equals 2. So the client is a level 2 and wants to be a level 3. And 3 is 6. Bring down your 2. 2 represents that's where she is now. Minus 2 is 4. So you go to your cabinet and get the target level 4. Okay. It says this formula now tells me that I will use a level 4 to give my client April her desired 3. So even though the client wants to be a 3, the formula tells us to go get a 4, and that is going to get us where we need to go. Okay, so you don't have to go get bleach, and then you don't have to lift this client and then do that. That is unnecessary. This client is still on the same wavelength, so whatever color we give her is going to be a great tone. This is how you will write it. Now you have to match it with a developer. So since her number is 4, the target level here, if you get your target level 1 through 10, you always use a 20 volume. When your number is 11, you always use a 25. When your number is 12, you actually are going to use a high lift blonde, HLB. It is a color in a tube, but it's mostly a blending power. Uh, we will go to high lift blondes, HLBs, before you go to light. All right, so you may have a client that cannot take bleach / liner. So try a HLB first. All right, a HLB plus 30 volume. If your number came out to be a 12, if your number is a 13, you're at 40 volume. If you get a 14 or above, you will need to use a lightener. Nothing in a tube can get you where you need to go. Okay. And you'll start your lighteners off at 20 volume, 30 volume, 40 volume, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. There's about 150 volumes, guys. Technically, you may see volumes in the beauty supply store that may go up to 60. But y'all, the volumes can go up to 150. Okay. We have to wrap our mind around using 20 volumes. So we can't even think to go up higher than that. Okay. And so your volume is anywhere between the lowest volume is going to be 0, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, so on and so on. If you make a 20, we can make a 25. All right, we can make a 25. Everything in developers, we can make it. All right. If you add water to developers, you're going to weaken them. So this is why we have 0 volume and 5 volumes. They help come in and add to it and divide it equally instead of us having a watered down product that doesn't work because it's been diluted. So we do have other things that help divide our product and not necessarily water. So remember that. Let's look at our practice quiz. Indiana, let me give you number 1. Ted. Ted has a natural 1, desired 4. And Tara, let me give you Helen. Helen has a natural 5, desired 4. And Pooja, number 3. Sarah. Sarah has a natural 7, desired 4. What are we going to do first? We're going to write it out, right? So let's get the chat. Let's do Indiana first. Okay. Remember,
Yeah. Can I just say it instead of
put it in the chat. 2D, tell me what to do next. I'll type 2D minus N equals TL. The natural is 1, and the desired is what?
4?
4. Okay, what's next? So let's replace.
Replace it with the 20 volume.
Let's replace the D. We're doing the work. 2D minus N. N is 1. Okay. So 2D minus N equals TL. That's our formula. Your client is Ted. Ted has a natural 1, wants to be a 4. Okay. And let me show you what that looks like. Here's Ted. He's a black and he wants to be a light brown. Do you see the visual? He's black, but he wants to be a level 4 light brown. All right. So let's go back. Hold on one moment. Okay, guys. All right, so Ted is black and wants to be like brown. What is so far we have the formula 2, we have 4 in parentheses minus 1, so 2 and 4 is what? 2 times 4 is what?
8. 8.
Okay, minus 1.
7.
All right, we have to show our work. And so we're going to go to the cabinet and pull out a level 7. So level 7 is our target level. So to get us from level 1 to level 4, we need to go and get a level 7. Okay. Now, does that level 7 what developer does that level 7, what developer will we use with that level 7?
20.
20 volume. All right. So the average color is 2 ounces. So we'll always say 2 ounces. So we'll do 2 ounces of level 7 plus 2 ounces. That's what we'll write on our card. All right. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Let me edit this, space this out a little bit so you can see it. 20 ounces. Let me go back. Well, 2 ounces. Okay. So if you look in the chat, this is how you'll write your formula. If Indiana, you're going to do Mr. Ted today, and next month Tara does Mr. Ted, and she got to redo the color. Only thing she has to do is go to his color card, and you will see that he used 2 ounces of level 7 plus 2 ounces of 20 volume H2O2 to give him level 4. Okay, to take him to level 4. Indiana, you want to do another one?
Sure, yes.
Give me somebody's name. Just create a name. What's the name?
Clover.
Okay. All right. So Clover, what's the desired? And what's the natural?
Um, she's a level 2 and desire, you can say 8.
Okay. All right. All right. So this is how we'll always look. She's a natural 2. She desires to be 8. Go back and look at your chart, get your visual understanding. Okay. So she is a dark brown. She wants to be a light blonde. All right. Remember what I said earlier. Although our eyes see a color, there's always something underneath. That's what's underneath is called a contributing pigment or an undertone. So although she's a 2, she has some red violet undertone. Okay. She has some deep red undertone. All right. And she wants to she want to travel all the way through here to a light blonde. which is this deep yellow gold undertone, okay? So we got to get rid of all this red, all this orange to get her over to yellow, all right? Let me tell you, red and orange are the strongest colors, the toughest colors to fight against when you're trying to go blonde. Okay. Why? Because you have red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have red in almost 6 colors. Okay. Okay. Red being a primary color, you got to have red and yellow to make orange. And we still got red when we get to gold and orange. Okay. When we get to gold, we still got red. All right. So red is the strongest color. I'm telling you now, no matter what formula you get, you're going to have to make sure you formulate to cancel red. Okay. When we looked at the color wheel, what's opposite red on the color wheel? What's opposite red on the color wheel? What's that? Green, right? Keep that in mind. I got a lot of red. My client has to go to blonde, but I got a lot of red that's going to fight me in getting there. Okay. If you don't formulate ahead of time, you're going to have a problem. So I got to make sure that I have what we call ash. Green is called ash. So I need to make sure I got a little ash in my stash to make sure I canceled out any red. I also need to make sure I have a little blue because blue cancels out orange. And if you notice, there's a lot of red and a lot of orange. Okay, so I need to make sure I got my complementary colors on deck, no matter what I decide to do. In the back of my mind, if something don't look right, I gotta go get my ash and I gotta go get my blue to cancel out those unwanted tones. Okay. All right. So Clover wants to be a 8, and right here they are a natural 2. So let's write our formula. Okay. So it's going to be 2 This is how our formula will look. Now let's start to break it down. 2 and 8 minus 2 we're live in the chat. So it'll be 2 times 8 that gives you 16 minus 2, that's your natural, and equals TL, that's your target level. All right. 16 minus 2 is what?
14.
Okay, that's 14. So we got a number 14. Let's go to the chart to see what developer to use at 14. All of this is inside of your color book that I gave you. What does 14 say?
Lightener plus 20 developer.
Yeah. So nothing in a 2 can get your client from that 2 to 8. That means you need to go with something more aggressive. And so you need to go with a lightener and 20 vibe. All right. And so the lightener is going to lift. It's going to bring you all the way up to where you need to be. Okay. But you may have to do something called a double process. Okay. So that is a lift and tone. So your lightener is going to bring you up, okay? But you will need to tone. You're going to still have that orangey look, okay? You still have that orangey look. So what you need to do, you will need to have, once the lightener brings the client all the way up, and when you are using lightener, you're looking for these colors up here. So we know a level 8 is going to be a deep yellow. When you start seeing that deep yellow come up, then it's time. It's time to rinse. Okay. It's time to rinse. Sometimes you can do what we call the triple process. Okay. Which means if my client is a 2, I'm going to do my 20 volume and it may bring me up to orange and I'm stuck. It won't move. It won't do anything. It's orange. The hair is orange. Okay. You can rinse with cool water, apply liquid leave-in conditioner, and then I will remix my product fresh and apply it again. Okay. It's going to pick up at orange and it should take me all the way to 8 deep yellow. When I see that deep yellow, I'm going to rinse. Once I rinse, I'm going to need to tone. Okay. And so I will tone with a level 8. And since deep yellow, if you look on a color wheel across from yellow, and deep yellow still has just a tad bit of orange, I'm gonna use maybe a BV. That's what I'll go get at the store. And really, it'll look like this, 8BV. That's my toner. So when you are going over to the other side, when you're going over to lifting, you know that you're going to have to cancel unwanted tone. Okay. And so you do that by selecting a toner that's the opposite of the color you see, simply just like the color wheel. Okay. So I am going to lift all the way up. When I see deep yellow, I'm going to rinse. Okay. The client wants this light blonde, but she does not want this intensity color here. She wants a settle light blonde. So I would need to cancel out that bright undertone. Okay. And since I see yellow and orange, what's across from the color wheel, what's across from orange on the color wheel is blue. What's across from yellow on the color wheel, violet. So I will find a level 8 toner, and the level 8 comes from where the client wants to be. I will find a level 8 toner with a blue violet undertone. It's going to take all of that unwanted deep yellow goldness out of the hair and give me the light blonde that my client wants. Y'all, it's going to take time. It takes processes. And let me tell you, that product may cost you about $70 by itself. The product costs you 70. So I'm not going to charge the client 70. That's just the product. Okay. Then I need to charge for the labor. And I may say this may be, depending on how long the hair, how coarse the hair, it may be a 3-hour process. Maybe. Don't hold me to it. Okay. So the client is going to pay per hour. So we're going to have a base pay, maybe $100, and then they're going to pay per hour. This client will probably end up paying $450, $500 before they leave. You gotta be like, Miss Cox, really? Yes. The color world on the other side, y'all, this is why people just only do hair color, because you can get paid just simply by using your brain and doing one thing. Okay. And think about how many heads you would have to slay to make what you would do with one person with hair color. Okay. So that's clover. You're going to do lightener 20 volume, and then you're going to go get level B8 UV as a toner. Apply it, let it set, follow the directions, and when you rinse, condition, shampoo, conditioner, and your client will be ready to go. Okay. Tara, any questions? Any questions about clover?
No.
Okay. Tara, what did you have? What's the natural and what's the desired? Is
Are you
Tara
talking
there?
about from the example?
Uh-huh, that I gave you. What was their name? Did you write it down?
Helen.
Okay, Helen, natural 5, desired 4. So I'm gonna go back up here. All right. Everybody should be working. So we got Helen. She has a G equals. What was her desired?
4.
Okay, and her natural was what?
5.
5. All right. So let's write our formula. 2. So this is how we'll write it. Let's go ahead and plug in. So it'll be 2 times 4 minus 5 equals TL. Okay. 2 times 4 is what?
8.
8 minus 5
3.
equals TL. Okay, so that means your target level is 3.
Yeah.
All right. So let's look here. We started with the client being lightest brown. That's where your client is, lightest brown, level 5. They want to go back. All right. They want to go back. They want to go to a light brown, level 4. All right. 2 and D is 8 minus 5, 3. So we go and get a level 3 and we would put it on. And then 3 is going to bring our client, and 3 is dark. So 3 is going to bring us down. And we'll probably have the processing time of about 20 minutes. So 3 will bring us down 1 level. What developer are we using with 3?
The 20 developer.
Yes. Yes. So this is how we'll write it. We're going to do an average head size is 2 ounces. So we'll write 2. Okay. So you do 2 ounces of 3, level 3, plus 2 ounces of 20 volume H2O2. Okay. Um, let's look at the undertone. They're still in the warm family. Okay. So we have a red undertone for 3. This client was at an orange and wants to go back red orange. Okay, so we are adding that red undertone. What we could do is do they want to go 4 and that's at RO. You could do a 3 RO. Okay, and when you see that color, that means level 3, red, orange undertone. Look at this. The client is going from a 5, which has an orange undertone. They want to go to a 4, red, orange. So our formula says put a 3 on them. So instead of making it 2 red, I just make sure I find the 3 that has exactly the red orange undertone that the client is looking for. And most of the time you can see that in the light when the light shines down on it. So 3RO is what I go get out the cabinet, mix with my 20 volume H2O2, and I will let it process, okay, and follow manufacturer's directions. 9 times out of 10, you're looking at anywhere between most box, most colors, tube colors have about a 30-minute time span on it. Okay. And so that processing. And so a lot of times, if you're not where you're supposed to be in about 30 minutes, that's as far as you're going to go. You're going to have to rinse and reapply. And that's going to be falls into the double process. This does not tell you to do that. So that's that on that. So that was Helen. You're going to go get a level 3 and you're going to put that on Helen hair, period. Okay. That's the formula for Helen. Okay. Tara, let's do one off the dome. Give me a name.
Ari.
Is it ARIE or ARIA?
It doesn't matter. ARIE.
All right. So we got Ari. What's Ari desired? And where is Ari? I'm gonna start saying what's her natural. Where's Ari on that level system, 1 through 10? Where is she? I got it up on the thing. Where is she? This
A
is what I'm
level
talking about over
6.
here. So she is a 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hold on. There we go. All right. So Ari is a 6 and she wants to be what?
A level 9.
Ooh, a 9. Okay. So Ari is a natural 6, want to be a 9. Let's write her formula. Okay. 2. Slow. Okay, so we got our formula written. Let's plug in. So we're going to do 2, 9 minus 6. We're in the chat. All right. 2 times 9 is what?
18.
18 minus 6.
12.
So we have 12. All right. Let's go and see what 12 says about our developers. All right. So a 12 says you need a HLB plus 30 volume H2O2. All right, that's going to be easy. So HLBs are blue, violet, or gold. Okay. So HLB, 30 volume. H2O2. That's going to be fine. That's what we're going to use for our formula, but we're going back up here. Okay. All right. So the client wants to be HLB plus 30 volume, but that's our formula. But HLB, the client initially wanted to be a 9. So we have to go up here to the 9. What undertone is that? Yellow, right? That's yellow. So the client wants to be a very light blonde. All right. The client is coming from a 6. Gold orange. Okay. And gold orange, we're talking about like burnt orange. All right. So I told you that even orange still has some red in it. And orange could be very strong, like literally, it could stop you from moving into your blondes. Okay. What do we need to do to add to our color to make sure we cancel out that orange to get the very light blonde that we want? We go back to our color wheel. And what's opposite orange on the color wheel? If we look at our color wheel, what's opposite orange on the color wheel? Anybody? What's opposite orange on
Blue.
the color wheel?
Blue.
What did you say?
Blue.
Blue. So what you guys need to do, you will make sure that your HLB, your high lift blonde, had a blue base. That's it. The formula said you need to use the HLB plus 30 volume H2O2 to get the client over to the blonde. You're going to come into a problem because there's a lot of orange in that travel. So you need to go back to the color wheel and always formulate for the problem. I'm gonna run into a lot of orange. So I need to make sure what's opposite orange on the color wheel? Blue. So if from the jump, if I make sure that this formula has that blue in there, as I travel over to my blonde, every time orange pops up, the blue, the complementary color, is going to shut it down. This is how we become great colors, because you don't wait to the problem to figure out how to solve it. You solve the problems from the beginning when it comes to color. You will always look at the bottom line. Even though this is our formula, our eyes never play trick on us. Some people say our eyes play tricks on you, but the client knows what they want. So you may do the formula, but you didn't give the client what they wanted to see. Okay. And they wanted to see that light blonde. And you can't see that light blonde with all that orange. Only thing the client was going to see was burnt orange. All right. You got to get rid of that burnt orange so your client would be satisfied and she see what she was supposed to see. Then she recommends, she comes back, she speaks well of you. Okay. And so you always have to make sure you put that complementary color in pocket. Okay. And you always going to have it just in case you need it. So what's opposite orange? Because orange is going to give you a problem to go from 6 to 9. It's going to give you a problem. So you're going to have to cancel that orange out. And you do that with the blue base. All right. Any questions? You guys have homework. You guys have homework. I need you to, each one of you, I want you to create 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I want you to create 10. It's due tomorrow. I want you to create 10 custom formulas. Okay. So that means you got to have 10 people, 10 names. And the only thing you need to know where they are on the color wheel, know where they are on the level system, and where do they want to be. And we're going to use this here. 10 people. You may say we did April, we did Ted, we did Helen. Okay. So you may say Jeremiah, you may say April, you may say Mary, you may say Kevin. It doesn't matter. Create 10 color clients. Okay. Where they are now, their natural, and where they want to be. And then I want you to do the work. Okay. I want to see the work. I want to see the work. I want to see the work. Once you do those 10, get as close to 10 as possible. Once you do those 10, send it over to me. Okay. You can text it to me. I just want to see, send me a picture of it. Send it over to me, or you can email me and I'm going to check it before we come on tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow we talk about adding gray hair. What if the client has gray hair? All right. So we're talking all things gray hair tomorrow and more color formulas. So make sure you take some time to do your homework. I'm asking for 10, but get as close to 10 as possible. But tonight, send that over to me. Just screenshot it and send it over to me. And I will check it before we come in tomorrow. Okay. Tara, resend that homework from the other day. I didn't get it. I didn't get a chance to send you a message yesterday, but resend it for me. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's go, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. This was recorded, so you guys can go back and just review it. If you came on late, I did a lot of review in the beginning, so go back and listen to it. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. If you need any help or have any questions about your assignment, don't hesitate to call me, especially if you're working on your problem or something. Just send me a message and I can pick up the call. Y'all have a great evening.